All right, welcome to the No Play Podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest. Let's see, with Wild Eats. Yang, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, okay. I'm Hmong.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here, first and foremost. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I grew up out west. I was born in Washington, grew up in Boise, Idaho.
Oh, nice.
Right in the middle of Mormon country, so Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
We grew up Christian.
Okay.
But as we were getting a little older, my parents wanted to move the entire family over to Minnesota. It was either California or Minnesota, and I think the highlight of things was that Minnesota had more opportunities. Namely, it was family, culture,
Yeah,
language.
Yeah.
And so, Beijing 係Hmong了.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we moved here. 佢俾埋俾係Hmong 住住咁多條路
Yeah.
Right.
做路啫嘛。
And that's very similar to you because he was born in France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, I grew up.
Okay.
So I grew up just outside of Paris for the first. My family got there in about '76, so pretty early on.
Oh yeah, that's
pretty early
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So we lived there till '99. So, but yeah, I didn't grow up around any Hmong people. So my Hmong didn't really come about till probably. I mean, I always understood it, of course, but it
Yeah.
never really came around till like, till I was 11, 12.
Yeah, because you didn't move here until middle school, right?
Yeah,
That's
I was
what
in
you
sixth
said?
grade.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I picked it up, and then I just kind of dropped. Once I picked it up because I needed to, because I didn't know English.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I picked up English, I dropped Hmong again. So
Ah,
then I picked
okay.
it up again when I was firefighting, and then I seem
Yeah.
to be dropping it again a bit. But
Yeah.
my wife is a Hmong teacher, so
Yeah. It is tough too. Like as you enter like the professional world, like everything is English.
Yeah.
You know, and very you find yourself like in a professional setting like not speaking too much Hmong.
it's a
yeah.
personal effort.
Yes,
Yeah, you gotta put in a lot. Of work there.
Yeah.
And so, growing up in Boise, Idaho, did you guys do a lot of hunting? Was there a lot of did you guys do a lot of outdoor activity? Did you grow
Yeah,
up
tell
around
us
that?
about Wild Eats because there's a reason we invited you
Yeah.
here because we wanted to meet you, of course, but you got something cool going on too. So, just give us a quick rundown and then we'll deep dive
Yeah.
into all of it. But quick,
We
just
got a lot
you're
of
wearing the
questions.
sweatshirt, so
We've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Sure, yeah. I mean, Wild Eats is just a hobby.
okay.
I like to eat food. I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
But I feel that it's more important to be able to understand what we're eating. And I enjoy eating fresh foods,
Yep.
foraging, and eating off the land. So fish, venison, fruits, nuts, and
Yeah,
mushrooms. You know, there's a variety of foods on the land that I think we've kind of lost touch with as a community. But it's the food's there. It's just we got to go get it, and we have to know how to be educated enough to look for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, what I started out with was hunting and fishing. Growing up, we did a lot of mule deer and elk hunting
Nice.
in the Rockies. My heart's still there, though, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
incredible.
But coming to hunt in Minnesota in the Midwest is very different. You know,
Yeah.
you're up in the tree instead of tracking or spot and stalk,
Right.
right? And so, you're not glancing over a valley or a ridge for the wild animals. You're waiting on the trail. So that's a different experience. Nothing wrong with any type of hunting as
Right.
long as it's legal. But I do enjoy various amounts of hunting, fishing, foraging.
Yeah.
And so making dishes out of whatever I find or hunting or fishing,
Yeah.
especially when it's spicy food.
Right.
Bomb.
And one of the cool things about your page is, I think there's a lot of hunting pages, and they focus a lot on the hunting aspect, but you add a foraging aspect to it too. So mushroom hunting and stuff like that. I think I think I saw a video you doing that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Foraging for mushrooms. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get into that? Like, did you grow because I've got mushrooms all over my property, and
Gotcha,
I
yeah.
I've always wondered if I could just like start eating it, but I mean, I'm not, I'm not going to just because I don't know what's what. But like, how did you learn the skills to like decipher what you can and can't eat?
I think regardless of what anybody is ever doing, you're always constantly learning.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
You can't be a master and say that, okay, I've learned everything. I think you're, as a human being, we're always learning constantly. And so the mushroom thing is, it's important because in our community, non-yeke is, mundenge is very, very important to a lot of the elders, especially because they like mushrooms.
Yeah.
But if you've seen in, not even within the past 10 years, people have gotten really sick and poisoned because they've eaten the wrong mushrooms.
Yeah.
And they just automatically think that, oh, these are mushrooms that are good to eat, they're okay to eat. But I think along with my page is being able to educate the greater community about what you can possibly make out of these, let's say mushrooms, for example. And so are they safe to eat? Are they safe to harvest? Can you touch them? Some you can harvest and maybe dilute and then eat them, bake them. If you cook them, the chemical composition changes. So they are edible, but for the majority of the mushrooms out there, if you don't know, don't pick
Don't
it.
eat it.
Don't eat it.
Yeah. They'll just test it out.
Yeah.
What's I'm curious is to who influenced you at the beginning to like be into like the wildlife? Like, did you grow up in the city first of all? Like, where did you grow up? Because I'm curious as to the influence, right? Because like, and we can go into it later. I got into hunting now much later. I'm a city kid, but born and raised city kid, right? So for me, it's a developing habit that I am now learning. For you, is it something that was or was it something that you grew up in and just naturally came to you? Like, explain that part of like how you came to be like what you do now.
Right. Yeah. Good question. I was naturally an outdoors kid.
Yeah.
I couldn't stay inside. I think I have self-proclaimed ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I can't really focus in an office space. Same thing with the classroom growing up. I could hear what the teacher was saying, but I was paying more attention to the fly flying around in the room, or the squirrel
touching stuff, touching the things,
or the squirrel jumping. How many hops a squirrel would take to get to the tree? Just like
that's my favorite part about sitting on a tree. Since I've never harvested, like I usually just go out there and watch squirrels and watch blue jays fly around.
Yeah, right. And so the focus was always like other things outside, besides academics.
But were your parents, was your dad a hunter, your uncle's hunter? Okay, so you like in the family there was already hunting and fishing and stuff like that?
First of all, in Boise, Idaho, there are 0 Hmong people.
Yeah.
So we were, from what I know, from what I understand, we're the first, from what I understand, might be different, the first Hmong people who really settled down there and like stayed there. Mountain Home was an Air Force base, and I've heard that there are some Hmong people living there. But we were the first Hmong people there, and then there are some families that did trickle in, and then when we moved, they moved out back to California. But we were always an outdoors family. My dad and I. Yeah. My brothers not so much. Yeah. My brothers went for the chips and snacks. Hunting and fishing, but my dad and I, we were really good friends growing up, and just explored the outdoors together the Hmong way. I hunt differently now.
Right.
But I learned a lot from my dad too.
And talk about that, because like hunting is like, and the outdoors, especially for us like Hmong people, like it's like precious to us. And talk about I guess Hmong people's, in your experiences, Hmong people's relationship to like hunting and the outdoors.
Right.
The good and the bad. The good and the bad. And we're not calling anybody out, but the good and the bad, right?
Because I've always said, like, even me living on the farm, like, I always say, like, we're only one generation removed from this. So this is still, like, deeply rooted in us. Like, so there's nothing that makes me feel more Hmong than when I'm out there with my animals. And so, like, probably, and I feel the same way when I'm on a tree. Again, I've yet to harvest, but, like, talk about your experiences with that.
Sure. I mean, I guess if you want to call it the primitive lifestyle, that we have it ingrained in us that we still like to get outside. And the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, has a bunch of data saying license sales are decreasing dramatically. And it's true nationwide.
Yeah.
It is. But I feel like if you disaggregate the data enough, that the license sales in the Hmong community are still staying very strong.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I think it's increasing because never in our lifetimes, in past lifetimes, unless if it was war, that we would see women holding guns, harvesting a deer.
Right.
My aunts are harvesting deer.
Yeah.
They're harvesting squirrels. They're fishing by themselves. They don't
That's
need
awesome,
their
Badass.
yeah. They're just going out there getting trout or their crappies.
Yeah.
White bass, North Dakota.
Yep.
By themselves
Yeah.
with their lady friends, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think that's totally awesome. You disaggregate that data enough, you'll find these numbers. But going back is that we still have that primitive lifestyle, if you want to call it that again, that we do enjoy eating the foods that we're harvesting or just enjoying nature. And back in Idaho, we would, the few families that were there, we would go on elk hunt together, talk, joke, just like any other deer camp.
Yeah.
It's different with, let's say, Caucasian Americans in suburbia, America. If they're going to have their deer camp or elk camp, we had our elk camp, our deer camp too.
Yeah.
No different.
Yeah.
It's just it was a little harder for us because we didn't have the same resources
Right.
as everybody else.
Yeah, that comes over time, especially I think our parents. I mean, I was just talking about it with one of the guys at my work today, and we were talking. I was telling him how truly luxurious it actually is to be a hunter these days, because at the end of the day, like for bow hunting, for example, I gotta have enough money to at least get a bow or find somebody who has a bow, right?
Yeah.
Then I have to be attentive enough to open my DNR book, read how it works, to do it the legal way, and then buy a tag, and then find the time, which is the most valuable thing of all, find the time, get out, and then go many, many times over.
Yeah.
And that's just deer, but if you wanted to hunt other things, like you gotta travel. If you want elk, you gotta go out west. If you want bighorn sheep or stuff like that, like there's so much money tied into hunting.
Yeah.
And this is just me. I was thinking about it as on a business perspective, but I just found it so contrasting to what hunting really was initially, which was you hunt your food down so that you can eat, and now there's a huge cost associated with it. It's not super expensive. I mean, in Minnesota, the the deer tag's like $33 or something, I think, and then like $18 for your second bonus. But it's but the tools required to get there, the rifle, I mean, I guess it could be as cheap or as expensive as you want, but I do feel like there is a cost of entry.
Yeah.
That would be nice if anybody could just get in at a cheaper cost. Like in Laos, you probably just went outside.
Right. I would say that too. Like, I totally agree with that. Like, it's the same as farming. In all other countries, the poorest of the poor farm. Here, to farm, the cost of entry is so expensive. You got to have, $1 million corn combines. You got to have hundreds of acres to be profitable as a traditional farmer. And same with hunting. And it's usually kind of the poorer of the poor that go out and have to go hunt for and to put food on the table.
Yeah.
But here it's almost like it's a luxury here.
Yeah. I would say for most of America, we don't need to hunt.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
We get everything
It's changed,
in the store.
It's changed.
Like what Chris Rock said is only in America are we hunting on a full stomach.
So, we're still eating nuts in the tree.
Yeah. So I use a bow that I bought 10 years ago. I still use that now. I don't have high-end material.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we first started hunting, tree stands were non-existent in terms of like climbers and hang-on stands. The first time I ever hunted with my uncle and cousin, they took me to a tree that they had tied up with VHS tape. The branches, very illegal. Yeah. And I didn't know that at that time. Yeah. But it's like you shouldn't be using that type of material to make your own tree stand anyway. But those are the types of resources that we had. So
Yeah.
we're going to use that.
Yeah.
We did take it down, you know,
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
the day. But just that type of scenario is like we as a community have expanded so much and so greatly that we're having more and better resources to make things easier for us.
Yeah.
We're moving out of Frogtown to to
Yeah, it's
the
the
suburbs.
it's the
and-
access as well, right? Because if you live, if you step out of your door and you see deers, then paying $30 for a tag is not the same thing as if you live in the city and you want to get into hunting. Now you got to go out of the city to drive. So there's like costs associated with your fuel and all those things. So it depends also a little bit as to where you grew up as well. You
Right.
know, that's
Yeah.
always going to have an impact. You grew up in Idaho, so, but yeah, earlier I asked you the question, you didn't answer me. Did you grow up in this, where in Idaho, like, were you Boise, the city? Were you like in the suburbs? Or you?
Is Boise like a city?
Yeah, it's a very big city.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
Yeah,
been, so-
Boise's like the
okay.
capital of Idaho, ain't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So Boise in itself is like the middle of suburbia.
Okay.
Okay.
So there isn't really. People in the big city would say that Boise is the countryside.
Yeah.
But if you live in Boise, you're like in the urban area.
Okay.
So it's perception.
Okay.
But the mountains, the Bogus Basin, which is a ski resort, and the foothills, we're only about 45 minutes away.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's stone's throw away. You
Yeah.
can get up and start hunting within 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could kind of do that here too.
Yeah, you
It's
can do
just-
that here
yes,
too, yeah.
You just got to research well.
You get it.
Yeah.
You can do that here too, yeah.
Lots of public land everywhere, but yeah.
Yeah, and then talk about because you had mentioned, you know, when you first started hunting, like having a lack of resources, you guys had to make do with everything. You know, we've seen in the past, like Hmong people gotten into a lot of trouble with like DNR, maybe understanding kind of the conservation laws here. Can you speak a little bit as to maybe where some of that confusion came from? Because like, you know, I was listening to there was Ya's episode on Meat Eater, and I thought he brought up a really good. I don't know if you listened to the Meat Eater podcast.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Ya's and one of the things he spoke about was just our relationship with nature and land ownership is very different than in here. And then there was like a learning process. Sorry, I just answered my own question, but so I wanted you to speak on it, but I just answered my own question. But I thought what he said was so beautiful, and like and I think for a lot of people a lot of non-Hmong people, I think they need to hear that, just because like there's this perception of maybe of Hmong people, I guess, maybe abusing some of these laws.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
the
Everybody
reality.
does.
Yeah. That's
It's more of a personal thing, don't you think? I feel like it's a
Yeah.
personal thing because you get
It
some
is.
hunters that are extremely ethical,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you've got some. I've only been in this world for like a year or two, and literally just from chatting with different people, everybody's got their own. I mean, it's your philosophy on
Right.
hunting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like. If you're of the person that says, I want to conserve nature and make sure that I ethically kill what I need just to feed my family, and so be it, and that's it,
Right.
then that's my point. That's my view, right? I'm very much on that side of the fence.
Yeah.
But you also have some people who are just like, there's an animal out there.
Yeah.
It's meat. I got a rifle. The tag says I can shoot one. I have to register on my phone. I don't technically have to because nobody knows this, and they shoot the deer. So
If it's brown, it's down.
yeah, exactly, right? So
We've heard that a lot.
it's tough to I mean it's tough. I think for me, from my perspective, my philosophy, what attracted me to hunting in the first place was listening to Rogan talk about bow hunting, and then the conservation aspect of it is what really I find beautiful, because these are resources that have been on Earth forever. And so we should respect that they're there. When we take their life, we respect that it's there. When we eat it, we share it with everybody, and we just respect the game. That like these things, without them, like we can get rid of them as well. And there's a beautiful aspect to hunting. Otherwise, you just conform to modern agriculture,
Yeah.
and so that's why I'm attracted to it. But yeah, I mean, is that kind of your philosophy behind hunting? What's
Well, first to answer Peng's question was how things have changed.
yeah,
There's absolutely a gap, and that's language, first
Yeah.
of all, and like cultural norms too. When Beijing first migrated or found their home here in, let's say, Minnesota, there were DNR programs that took Hmong elders to, let's say, St. Cloud to go visit. And they were going through rules and regulations at that time. And, you kind of see like a light bulb go off in a lot of the elders' reactions. And this is on YouTube. And I don't know what the link is, but they're like, oh, so that's what that means. And having these types of programs help assist and provide better access and better resources. So that's why there needs to be these dollars that continually come back to help conservation. And conservation isn't just on the land, but it's also education too. So the even us younger individuals who are trying to learn that our license sales, why they're so important is because it's coming back to the ecosystem of conservation. And so we're helping the deer, the fish, the wolves, and that's another issue too. I mean, a lot of people don't believe that wolves are a problem, but the landowners up north say otherwise. So there is a problem with wolves. It's just that they're federally protected. And so, to Hmong people that don't know any better are, damn, I'm scared as hell.
Yeah.
That thing's gonna attack me, and that's just like, wolves are more scared of humans than they are of humans are of them. So it's hard to believe, but it's true. And so, you want to take care of that problem right away, but it's illegal. So that goes with other things too that we might not know of boundaries crossing. The whole Chai Veng incident in Wisconsin. I mean, the bads, we got to talk about that too, is maybe I'm not condoning that crossing onto private trespassing or crossing over to private property is right, but there are a lot of disparities when we talk about that court case too. And it's like, there's racial profiling, there's a lot of ignorance that happened, and they even admitted it. But at the same time, we don't know like what exactly happened in those woods except to them. They were there. But there is some bias. There's a lot of, not some, there's a lot of bias.
100%.
People are going to fight and say, man, I've seen some racial stuff outside, and I don't even want to talk about it because we don't need to talk about that. I think we should more. It's been brought up, but in the mainstream talks, a lot of it comes from the broader spectrum or only one side. I think the Hmong community's been very muted in talking about some of the experiences that they've had out in the wilderness. I myself haven't experienced any racial tensions. But obviously they're there. If more than 10 people can say that something's happening.
They've heard it.
So
I think it's important. It's exactly, I think, a big reason why we wanted to bring you on here is because what you're doing is not only fun, interesting content to like watch and just look and be like, oh, look at what he's doing, and it's educational, but you bring to light that exact topic which you talk about, which is the idea of just speaking of hunting, fishing, the outdoors from a Hmong perspective, and then that entails everything from the racial profiling that may occur to what are the rules, what are the laws, but it exposes it to our culture. It's like to what I think of you, I'm like, oh, cool. It's like I watched Steve Ranilla. He's kind of like, that was my first comparison. So whether you like Ranilla or not, I don't know, but this is my first comparison. But it's good because that exposure is needed in the Hmong community in all aspects, right? You bring this aspect, but all aspects are important. But you bring a certain aspect that I don't see any other Hmong dudes. Like for the last year or two, I've been on these Hmong hunting page. And you're the one that comes up the most, but it's good because somebody has to speak on it. If nobody else wants to, it's fine, right? Everybody's entitled to what they want to do in life, but somebody's got to speak about it and at least be like a source to speak about it, as opposed to just look at my deer or like that's cool too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love watching people as trophies, but somebody that just says like, I want to like be a person who either just shares my passion or makes a voice about this topic. And clearly, it's because you're passionate. It's not just. I mean, maybe you don't take that position. I don't know, but I'm just telling you from my perspective.
Oh, well,
it's
thanks.
nice to hear
Yeah,
somebody
appreciate it.
speak about something like this and like trying to bring it to light, just like Hmong Outdoors.
Yeah.
You know, like I watch
He's
him
out
all
in
the
Washington,
time.
right?
Yeah, I watch him
Yeah.
all the time. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. And sometimes I watch him. I was watching him the other day, and they're boiling meat, and I'm like, dang, that's Hmong camp for real. But it's good to see that, like, hey, this dude's growing a channel. He's not only exposing hunting, he's exposing Hmong as well, and it's
Sure,
like beneficial for everybody. Right?
Right.
And he has a very good outlook too, I think. Yeah.
He does. Yeah, he reaches out to a very big audience.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's just not like very isolated and siloed, which is great.
Yeah, it's good.
But then others do have a very niched channel where it's only like you got to shoot only for 4-year-olds and older only.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of commercialization that's involved
Right, of
with
course.
hunting too, and along with fishing and anything in life. But just I think having an open mind to being able to explore the outdoors, and because not one type of hunting is correct.
Right.
Back in Laos,
No,
I mean,
yeah.
staying in a tree stand, they're like, dude, what are you doing? Go chase the
yeah.
animal, right?
Yeah.
But we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we grew up doing something, and circling back then is, you know, if I still stayed in that tree stand or that tree where the VHS tape was, I don't think I'd learn what I've learned. But I've learned the nuance of staying in that type of tree stand. And that's something that I don't want to do anymore because it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. It's like, okay, well, you know, you get a better advantage of this.
Right.
And I didn't go high. I was only about 8 feet high.
Yeah.
And I stay about 8 to 10 feet. I don't go higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
Some people go up to 25
What's a
feet.
good height for being up in the tree?
Because I have a deep fear of height, and anytime I climb trees, like I don't go very high at all.
Well, for me, I only go about 8 to 10 feet.
Really?
Maybe I stay 6 sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wherever I can hide myself the
Okay.
best. If I go too high, I get silhouetted too easily in
Yeah.
the fall or winter because the leaves are off. So if I can stay behind or with the tree trunk and not move, because that's the most important thing. I don't think camo. People might think
Uh-oh.
a certain way.
Hot take.
You know.
Say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, I wear blue and I wear vests, and in one of my videos, I was wearing a maroon vest.
Yeah.
And you know, I try to blend in. So as much as I break up my silhouette and my colors, that's not all solid. It'll work. And there have been deer that have passed me at 5 to 10 yards, and I just stood still downwind, and didn't cross a path where the deer was taking,
Yeah.
and they didn't know that I was there.
Yeah.
I was 6 to 8 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
There have been times where I was messing around with my camera because I self-film, right? And I get picked off way too many times trying to mess around with the damn camera and the batteries because, damn, I got to move because the remote wasn't working or I was fumbling with the cables.
Yeah.
And so if you don't move, you stay at a good height where you're blended in with the background and the foreground, something over your head. The deer, it just becomes, you're in that environment where you're camouflaged, you're minimizing the risks of
You fit
deer
within the
picking you up.
environment
Yeah.
by not sticking out.
correct.
Yeah.
And I like that just because like hunting, I truly believe everyone should hunt at least once in their life. And but we talked about the barrier to entry is so high just because you're talking about an expensive bow, you're talking about camouflage is crazy expensive. Just having the right attire, and thermal gear.
They also, I mean, yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
no, it is.
I like what you said there, where it's just like all that it does help, but ultimately at the end it is just discipline. It is just sitting in the tree and not moving, and that's all you need to do to truly harvest.
For deer, and other animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do like that, and because like for me, where I'm at now is like I started similar to you, where I started hunting later on in life. You know, my uncles and them hunted, and they would bring like venison and like squirrels around, and so I ate that as a kid. But then like I never actually went hunting until like post college. But once I got into it, you know, before I even got on a tree, I was already like $2,000 deep into it, and I was like, what am
That's
I
because
doing?
the marketing got to you.
Yeah. I
That's
was
how
like,
that
You
works.
fell for it.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I got suckered into it, and so then it kind of like left like a ill taste in my mouth, and I was just like, all right, well, I'm not gonna spend any more money until I harvest, and so that's why I haven't, you know, because I bought a bow first, so that's why I haven't moved on to a rifle or a shotgun yet, because I'm like, I need a harvest with this, because I've already spent so much money on this. But
You picked the more difficult type of hunting.
yeah,
For sure.
But I like that just because like there is a mechanical skill, more so of a mechanical skill than like a crossbow or a rifle.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And then you shoot archery, and you do as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And the two you recently harvested. I haven't
Yeah,
talked to you in a
first
little
year.
while, so like.
How was that, man?
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
So first of all, yeah, time is the most essential part of hunting, right?
Yeah.
That's what I learned this year. Time is the most
Yeah.
essential part, because if you're not out there, and we can talk deeper into like all the things that I've been studying about weather and stuff. But this year I was more of the mindset of like, you know what? I don't understand all that stuff, and I will learn gradually. This year, I just want to get out there as much as possible and just get some experience. Just the smallest thing, right? Walking calmly, climbing the tree. How does my thing work? Like just the smallest aspects of it. And so, yeah, I went out, I think probably 20 times, shot 3 times, missed the first 2. But now I understand what other hunters tell you, like I think I just understand better from a hunter's perspective the failures and how they feel and how much you can learn from them. Like you will never learn those unless you shoot and you miss and you're like, dang, what the heck did I do wrong? And then so then you go back and revisit all your steps and you're like, and then my cousins would ask me like, well, where'd you shoot? And like, I couldn't even answer where I shot. So I'm like, oh, wow, if I can't even answer where I shot, how could I expect to actually kill this animal? So I learned so much, and yeah, I finally harvested like 2 weeks ago, small buck, 4-pointer, came down a ridge line about 45 yards, stopped right where I needed him to, open lane, and learned a lot from my first 2 shots. I just spoke to myself a little bit calmly, so just don't think this deer is just gonna spook and run. He can, but don't worry about that. Just worry about what you can control. Worry about your breathing. Line up your sights. Is your bubble where it needs to be, and just following the fundamentals. And 2, because it's been like 20 outings, you start to get a little desperate where like you respect it even more, because you're like, if I don't harvest this time, this will be my 3rd miss in 20 outings.
So if it's brown, it's down.
Well, this year, yes.
First year that came around, like, turned the
This
corner.
year, that was the goal. This year was just to harvest and understand what it feels like to put down an animal. Before this year, or before this buck, I'd never even killed a chicken in my life. So I never killed anything.
Really? Okay.
Nope. No, I mean a fish, but that's different. So yeah, that was my first of like actually killing an animal, finding the animal, bringing it home, dressing the whole thing by myself, packing everything. So the experience as a whole, I mean, like I've told everybody in the last 2-3 weeks, like I'm addicted. The experience of it is it's profound. Like there was a certain feeling about giving meat that I did a lot of work for when I handed it to my dad, to my friends and stuff. It wasn't like, yo, I didn't just go to Cubs and brought you a T-bone, man.
Right.
I worked for this, you know? So you might like it, you might not like it. I'm going to tell you how I seasoned it so that I liked it.
Yeah.
But either way, just know that instead of keeping this, I'm giving it to you. And that felt pretty cool. And it's something that I want to do over and over and over again now. It's like not just the entire quest I found fun, but the gratifying part was at the end when you give the food and you're like, here, I did a lot of work to get this. Like I was cold, I missed, I had like roller coaster emotions through the misses and the, you know, so yeah, I'm addicted.
Proud of you.
Yeah,
Proud of
well,
you.
thanks.
Super.
But you know, also I will say that like when I got into it this year more, I made a post on the Hmong deer hunting page, and I just wrote a post. I was like, this is probably gonna sound stupid, but I'm just gonna say, hey, I don't know anything about this, but if anybody wants to take me out, I'm open ears. I'll just do what you tell me and I'll learn. And honestly, a ton of Hmong people came out. A lot of really like, just a lot of Hmong people came out and say, hey, if you ever want to come hunt with us, just come by. And, you know, I did end up going with Yi, one of the guys on there.
Yeah.
He took me out and he showed me, you know, he tagged that day. So he let me drag so I could feel what it was like. And
You were just a workhorse. That's what
Yeah.
he brought you out for.
you
yeah,
guys
but I
are-
wanted that,
Yeah,
though, you
yeah,
know, because
yeah.
that's part of the experience. And so, I found that hunting, at least the people that I've met so far, has been a very open, welcoming community.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say for all hunters, but all I can say is for the ones that I've met.
I wish you could have dragged a deer out of the valleys of Whitewater.
Oh, that's my next question. We're actually going there next week for my bonus
Okay.
tag.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a doe. But yes, I do want to go do that because I actually I listen to Cam Haines a lot. You know, he like runs
the grind.
Yeah, he runs a
Yeah,
marathon,
yeah.
and coming from a firefighter Marine background, I enjoy that discipline part of it as well. It's equally as fun.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the suck is what makes it fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
otherwise you just go to fenced in with 20 species of animal, pay
Right.
$3,000, bow. It's,
Yeah.
You know, so it's not that.
Yeah, and then how about you? I know we spoke earlier on the pod. You said you didn't get a chance to go out too much this year.
Yeah, yeah.
How'd your season go, or how is it going?
Well, I'm slated to go back out this coming weekend.
Nice.
Okay.
Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Nice.
I've just been too busy
Yeah.
with work and life and
Yeah.
things, and so I've been out twice. Once actually, once for early teal waterfowl, and then once with archery. So I missed all the other openers
Yeah.
just because I've been trying to take care of some things.
Okay.
So I haven't had a chance to really make kokoya, and that's a nuance too.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about food,
Yeah.
and we're trying to compare food with, let's say the Greater Minnesota Deer Hunters page. If you said that you take the stomach and the small intestines, they'll be like, "What in the hell are you thinking?"
Yeah.
But traditionally, that's what we've grown up eating,
Right.
and they're not used to that. So they're like, "Dude, you're freaking crazy."
Yeah.
But honestly, it's what our parents love to eat. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So you make sure you bring back if they're good internal organs like the liver or the hot dog casings or sausage casings, like they say, the small intestines,
Yeah.
and the tripe. I mean, those are all edible, very nutritious, maybe even more nutritious than other parts of the deer.
Yeah.
So we're making soups with that, and the Greater Minnesota Greater Deer hunting community don't know that even the tongue's edible, and they're not going to touch that. They're like, I can get steaks. Why would I do
Yeah,
that?
because like you said earlier, like you said Chris Rock said that we're the only ones that go hunting and like we're full. Yeah, because we don't have to, but it's an unfortunate luxury where we don't have to. Because I will admit, even myself, like this was my first deer I butchered. I don't know how to do this. I mean, I've watched on YouTube like 1,000 times for the day that I'm gonna have to, but the day that I have to, I'm like, dude, I still don't know how to cut this.
Yeah.
So I know the big stuff, quarter the legs and like back straps and all that. But then I'm like, dude, I don't even know how to cut these ribs. Like, how do you cut these ribs?
Right.
And the common sense thing would say, well, just take all the meat off. But then the way it's put together, you're like, dude, it's kind of hard to take all the meat off with all the fat around it and stuff. Like, so my next thing is I'm really looking forward to harvest with somebody who's done it for a long time and watch them butcher, you know, and be like, oh, that's how you do that. That's how you take all the meat, you know.
yeah.
And culturally, like we
Also
again,
eat it a lot.
we use a
All
lot
of
more,
it,
and then we kind of do it differently. Like like my uncles in them. I just remember it'd be a gathering.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, when one person harvests, everyone shows up, and then everyone's kind of like working together to like harvest the meat and and prepare it. And so I would love to see. I don't know if there's any content based around that, but I guess more of like a cultural harvest, maybe something more specific.
Do you
to how we
do you
it.
do videos on you actually cooking like the recipe of the food? You do, right?
I have a few videos that I haven't edited yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I just I haven't.
I want to
had
see
time.
those.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I want to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
too. Is
I
like
wanna see
if
those.
we're going to harvest a deer, and people these days they'll just take it to the butcher and
Yeah.
have them process. They'll make sausage, beef sticks, or venison sticks, and hamburger,
Yeah.
and then the steaks, the back
Ground
straps.
beef, yeah. Okay.
But for Hmong people, if it's like, dude, make sure you cut it up and make sure you have some bone
Right.
in there, because you don't have bones in there, it's disrespectful.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can't make
Yeah.
stew.
都好了啦
Yeah.，
都好了就攞一啲要整到冇攣的，要全部不叉到了啦。
Yeah.
嘅依日你就打啦，咩啊
Yeah.
The ribs, they're gonna be like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
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 What are you doing? Give me some bones.
Did you butcher an animal when you were a young kid already?
Yeah,
Do you remember butchering as a kid?
Yeah. As a
Okay.
kid, I was like killing some chickens,
Okay.
butchering some chickens.
Okay. From
helping my
like
mom.
what, 6, 7 years old? You
Around
remember?
that time,
Okay.
yeah, around that time. I mean,
Okay.
we didn't raise our own chickens, but I did raise some secretively
Yeah.
in the city. And then one day
Everybody
I
does,
came,
yeah.
one day I came home and I was really hungry and I was grubbing on some chicken,
Yeah.
right, deep fried. And I was like, Mom, where's my chickens at? They're like, "Iya tu gone da home." I was
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
started crying. I
Yeah.
was like, why would you do that? But it was good,
Yeah.
right? But like those chickens, I grew up understanding where there was a live animal, we killed it,
Right.
and the reality is you have to clean it now.
Yeah.
You have to butcher it. You have to make it edible. And a lot of my friends that I grew up with that didn't hunt and didn't fish, they didn't see that part of life.
Yeah.
The circle is like there's death. There needs to be death in order for us to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're killing the plant or we're killing the animal, and there's that human emotion part. If you can learn how to navigate that as a human being, you learn to respect your food better.
And I think some people, I think that I don't think people are dumb. I think everybody understands it, but until you've done it, it's not quite the same. Like I always understood it. I'm from the city. I understand that my food comes from a farm. It's agriculture. It's like big agricultural farms with tons of money, and cows have no space to move. And so, like, you understand all that, but it doesn't matter. You still go by it just like this until the day you, like, see the life be breathing alive in front of you, take it down, and then you eat it. And it's like this first deer that I harvested. When I eat it, there's something spiritual that's different about it. It's like, I went and did this one, So no, it's different.
And that's why like living on the farm now is so special.
Yeah, you
and
got
then,
plenty
like,
of animals.
Like living on the farm, me and my daughters, like it's so fun just because like I get, we have pets. But I mean, I don't know.
Are they
it's
farm
tough.
animal or are they pets? To you.
They're more farm animals. My relationship with
your
animals,
relationship.
because I grew up in the city and then I moved out to the farm, so my relationships with animals have changed quite a bit. So then I treat all my animals with great respect, and my job as the farmer is to provide them with the best life possible, knowing that they're going to provide me, my family, with substance, right? So everything out there, if it's dead, it's getting, if I don't harvest it, then my dog's eating it. If I harvest it, then my family's eating it. So there is a much greater respect from where your food comes from when you harvest it yourself. When you have to look at it in the eye as you slit its throat or something.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy to say.
I mean, you got to harvest it. And
Yeah.
everybody's got different ways. Like halal is slit throat, right?
Yeah.
But shooting it, I mean, it depends where you're from,
Yeah.
So people always judge others, and I'm like, I don't know. I was in Laos and I ate a rat, and some people are like, "Well, you ate rat." I'm like, I don't know. They ate it over there, so why can't I eat it over there?
And I would say like
same thing.
Like me being able to do this and having this relationship, like I would feel more closely connected to the animal than maybe somebody who just doesn't eat. I would say I have more of a relationship and more respect for, I guess, the circle of life and that animal than maybe somebody who opts out of consuming meat altogether.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but yeah, like I said, living on the farm is really neat because now I get to pass that on to my kids and teach them because they know that everything out there is at some point going to get eaten.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like I wanted to put in a plug real quick.
Yeah.
Pheng, you brought us some honeycombs, like an actual honeycomb.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. It's like
Man,
crazy.
look at this guy. Thank you. Wow.
Look at this, like,
You're a new favorite guest,
He's
man. Look
I
at
would
that.
say so. This is
he
These-
definitely does.
Hey,
Yeah, I've also not had this before, so let's try this. Shoot.
Enjoy, guys. These are actually my last two. I saved these two special because I knew
When
you
were
were coming
these?
on.
When was this harvested?
This was harvested this year.
Okay.
I had a couple of frames left, and then because I've got a lot of requests actually to keep the honey in the wax and just to
And
sell
you just
it like
eat it
that.
like this?
Yeah, because yep. You just take a bite into it. The
Cheers.
wax you can
Cheers.
eat into it too. Yep. And so what I didn't know was
Ugh.
that actually
Looks like
honey
candy.
around the world is consumed.
Don't swallow the
in
wax, though.
this.
You can.
You
but-
can.
Can
You
you?
can. You can. Yeah.
Are you not supposed to go?
No, you can. You can. I
It's-
do it.
Okay.
I do it.
I
But
feel
I,
like
don't,
that's
I don't
the-
know. He's the expert. He's
I
the
feel like
expert.
that's the,
I'm not-
I feel like that's the
yeah.
part that I would want to eat because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's got consistency.
Yeah.
It does, but I.
What does it
I
do
don't
in your
know,
stomach?
Yeah.
Does it digest in the
I
stomach
don't,
well?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You're the
I've never
expert.
seen. I've never seen it come out. You know. I guess I've never seen it like. You know.
That's really
This
good
is
though.
super rich.
Oh, yeah.
Like, 又係啲人呢就都有有 honeycomb. No, I would recommend getting in touch with Gorilla Pastures, man. That's
Yeah.
That's
These
crazy
are actually
good.
our last ones because you know it's
That's
a
like
different
super
setup. You know, as far as like setting up your frames and your beehives.
Yeah.
So we weren't prepared for it, and so we only had a couple of frames that was set up for it, and so.
Oh, it's a
these are
different
our
way
last
of
ones.
it's a different way of cultivating in order to get
yeah,
this
like
product.
because there's usually when you put up a frame, when you set up a frame for the hives, each hive has 10 frames, or each box has 10 frames, and then there's actually a thin layer of edible wax in between there, and it kind of guides the bees, and they build their honeycomb around that.
Can you do
Okay.
something with this stuff here that I just chewed up? Because it feels like you could definitely do something with this.
Yeah, we make a lip balm out of that.
Oh, you make your lip balm out of
Yeah,
it.
we
Okay.
melt that down.
Okay.
And then we mix it with oils, and then
Then you just
know,
solidify
yeah.
it.
Yep, So you can make
That's
candles,
awesome.
bowstring wax. We've been having conversation. Because like a lot of
And
hunters.
for animals too, I think you made the for the paws, don't you?
Yep,
Like-
yep.
like-
And so we make it for the paw balms. We make like a lotion for the dog's paws, especially here
I'm
in
not allergic
Minnesota.
to
It's
this
like
stuff.
really tough. If you should have checked first, but especially here in
God,
Minnesota,
I thought it was
like,
allergic. No.
the winter is really tough on the dog's paws. The
Yeah.
ice, the salt is really tough for them. So we make like
Yeah.
stuff for them. But yeah,
That's really
thanks
good.
for doing that, man.
No,
New
it's all
favorite
good.
guest.
Hey, thanks for
But-
bringing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's really
I know
good.
we talked about like getting you out there too, because I think what we do is they kind of align. I just think right now in this day and age, I think people are so aware of where their food is coming from, and people are just so mindful of that, and so that people want to know how their food is harvested, where it's coming from, and that's essentially, the roots of wild eats, right? Of at least the curiosity of hunting. And so that's like the same thing with the farm is like, hey, we just want to be a little bit more mindful about where our food is coming from. If we can produce it on our own in-house, then that's great. And then, why not, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a
so-
question for you, Yang.
Oh,
Sorry,
no, go ahead.
I just want to know what animal you've harvested.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to know like the variety
Because
of
you were
animals
out
you've
west
harvested.
chasing big game.
Yeah. So my first big game was a 9 point, so it would be 5x4. They call
Yeah,
it. They
yeah.
say 5x4 the measures of the antlers. So a bull elk.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's your first big game.
My first big.
Wow.
I got lucky
How
as
old
hell.
were you?
Yeah,
I
how old were
was
you?
15.
Oh wow.
So it was pretty early.
Archery?
No, it was with
Okay.
a 7mm mag rifle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
My
would be
dad and I were
impressive.
both
With
together.
your dad, nice.
I got that, and then running down in the valley, was my dad's 6x6, so he shot that. So we had
Wow.
2 elk that we had to drag about a quarter mile up the mountain. Crazy, like shot chot toa, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at
shot
15 though, you got energy for it. You got energy for days.
I don't know. I don't know because I looked back after carrying like itzaikena,
Yeah.
and we're Hmong, so we don't want to leave. We don't want to skin the animal and only take the meat. We wanted to take the whole leg.
Yeah.
So my dad gave me a whole front leg, and I looked back, and I was exhausted. I only went about 10 feet, and it was crazy. So elk, and then we got mule deer, and
Nice.
then we didn't do any other type of big game hunting besides those main ones. And then here in Minnesota, white-tailed deer.
Bear?
Yeah.
I haven't gone bear hunting.
Pronghorn?
No pronghorn because we didn't.
Did-
My dad just didn't like pronghorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I've never had pronghorn meat, I don't think.
I like goat, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I saw a bighorn
Bighorn sheep.
bighorn sheep in we were hiking in Vegas like a couple months ago. I saw that. I was like, oh, that animal looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that animal looks
ram.
awesome. Yeah. Like so agile, but still like super beefy and lean. You're like, dang, that
Yeah.
thing looks
like a tank.
intense.
Yeah.
Like chasing that thing down. They always get that high view on you too. Be like, man, you gotta really crawl to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta really crawl to them.
I haven't hunted for them, so
Yeah.
that's a very specific, unique type of hunting.
I think I just asked that because I think like I just assume that if you've hunted these different animals, then you're forced to learn the behavior of each type, right?
Yeah.
And so I've only done that for whitetail, but I'm curious, like, oh, elk, okay, now I gotta go. I'm on the offensive as opposed to just post it up. It's like, okay, now I gotta learn what that animal's like,
Yeah.
you know, different terrain, different weather,
Right.
and that part's really interesting
Yeah.
as
'Cause-
well. So
And explain the nuances and some of the difference between hunting out west and then hunting
yeah,
here in the
let's talk about
Midwest.
that.
Yeah.
Because like here in the Midwest, like it's tree stand hunting. I know you touched on that a little bit more, but I think here in the West, because we were both born here in the Midwest, so I think we romanticize what actually what
What
it
the
looks
mountains
like.
are like,
yeah,
Yeah.
and hunting out west, and you've actually done it. So like,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
So out west is very alpine country, a lot of pine forests
Yeah.
compared to the deciduous trees that we have here, oaks and maples.
Yeah.
We don't have that up in the mountains over there.
Yeah.
Very rare, very
Yeah.
rare. But you'll have your mountains, your mountain tops, your peaks, and deep valleys. Where over here, I mean, we're in the. You can say there's a very diverse landscape here because we have swamp, and then the popular place is southeastern Minnesota, where it's bluff country. So it's they say there's a lot of hills and valleys, but that's, I mean.
It means something
depends.
different to you.
Yeah.
It's really means something to you, different.
Yeah,
something
it's
to
all
you.
relative. It can be steep. Yeah, everywhere's
yeah.
steep, but you're not going a mile.
You're
up.
not touching
Yeah.
the mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. And then going for different types of game is different too.
Yeah.
Because you're going for pheasant, it's different because it's upland game compared to waterfowl, where you're closer and you're trying to be in a swamp or with the water, right? Compared to grouse, where they like more of the pine and
They like, don't they like brushy forests? Because every time
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
crossed
yeah.
them
Yeah.
is when I'm hiking up north
Yeah.
and something spooks me and I'm like, what the
Scare the
heck is
shit out
that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
is that a chicken? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, that's a
Yeah.
grouse.
And you wouldn't think something like that is out there.
No, when the
right?
first time
Yeah.
I seen one, I was like, what is that? Like, why is that thing so big? It's like,
Yeah.
is that a chicken? It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, is that what a grouse kind of is? Like of the family of the
it's like
chicken?
a wild. It's like a wild.
It's like
chicken.
a wild
yeah,
chicken?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like a ground bird, right? Ground
Yeah,
bird.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going through the different types of hunting makes you a better hunter because you
Yeah,
can scout
right.
for other types of animals while you're hunting,
yeah.
while you're fishing. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you could go trout fishing down in the bluffs.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, this is where the deer's crossing. like
Right,
the main,
right,
the main
right.
highway. So let's see if they'll be crossing in the summer because the spring and summer pattern might be different.
Yeah.
So you scout as you go hunting.
That's
too.
a good idea because I just in the last 2 years, a lot of my friends got into fly fishing. So
Ah, yeah.
I still don't fly fish. I still bring my reel, but I still go fly fishing with them in small spinner reels.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time we walk, I never. Now that you say that, now I know that next time I go, I'm gonna look for that. Because last year I wasn't looking for that. I was just fishing, having fun, opening a beer on my out of my backpack. But this year, like you said, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm already down here in this area. I might be back here in the fall. Like, let's scope out like what it might look like. And you, like you say, also learning the behavior change through the seasons.
Yeah,
You know, because
that's
we only
important.
see them from September to.
Animals are all different.
December.
Seasons are different, and then different types of terrain. You know, like what we were talking about earlier is different from out west compared to here. Down south, I mean, I could only imagine what hunting is like down in Florida and in like Alabama, down in Louisiana, where it's more swamp.
Yeah.
And really thick.
Or even like the more deserty area where it's a lot of open land.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what
Front
they're
lines,
like. Yeah.
And then talk
Interesting.
about the off season, because like, you know, I've hunted, but I've never did any off season hunt. So then I would hunt, but you know, I would wait during the season. My friends would come. They would tell me, hey, these are the trails. This is where you should sit. This is where they might be coming from, X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But I've always attributed my failures of hunting is like the lack of the off season work, where it's like a lot of my friends they're scouting a lot of times. They're putting cameras out in the off season, and because me, you know, I was always so busy, and I only went during the season. So I always attributed a lot of my failures to like not actually truly understanding the animal. But you do, and you're a big advocate for like off-season stuff, right?
Well, I treat scouting like I treat hunting, and likewise. I used to use like 1 or 2 cameras, trail cams, but I don't do that anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it kind of took away from the hunt and the spontaneity of being surprised.
Yeah.
So if I can see a track, and trails, and game trails, that's great. You know, I'll rather do that. There are some times where I do want to see what kind of animals there are, and so I use a trail cam to see because I'm a part of a U of M study where
Nice.
if you kill a harvested deer, they want you to leave the internal organs or the gut pile there to see what kind of predators there are that come in and eat.
So you send your footage in, you submit your footage or something?
No, they'll give you OFAL. It's OFFAL at umn.edu.
Okay.
They'll give you a trail cam with
really?
a lock, and on private land or where you can legally put a trail cam, you'll face it towards the gut pile. And we've had bald eagles come, a lot of blue jays, raccoons, foxes, coyotes.
Yeah.
And
Mountain
so-
lions?
I
'Cause
haven't
that's all the
seen
buzz
them all.
lately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all the
yeah.
buzz on my Facebook lately.
Yeah.
Mountain lions
And
in
you
Minnesota.
posted about that too, yeah.
I did, but I haven't seen one. There are predators out there, but I'm pretty sure, again, they're more afraid of humans than humans are afraid of them.
They're super rare. Like I've camped my whole life. Like, you know, in Boy Scouts we'd go camping like once a month. I've never seen one, and like they're incredibly rare.
But
like,
Probably see you, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
could
they probably-
you
yeah, yeah,
see
they've
one?
probably been- yeah,
That's
they
the
probably-
question.
yeah.
Could you see
Yeah.
one? Because
Yeah.
they're
That's also-
staring at you, not you staring at them.
that is probably true.
Unless
too.
you got
Like,
a
they probably-
pack of hounds with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise you ain't seeing them.
Yeah.
They got eyes on the forest. No, that's awesome. And so with Wild Eats now, so what is all the what are the different types of contents which you are creating, and what's the type of contents that maybe you'd like to create more of? Is it like just food, like recipes? Is it more like actual hunts? Is it?
Yeah, I think it comes with ensuring that I'm still educating.
Okay.
And so
education.
I want to be able to provide more different recipes so people can enjoy wild game.
Yeah.
One big part is including that, and I'm looking for partners maybe later on in the future, where there is a big need for understanding water safety, especially with children.
Absolutely.
There's a systemic problem within the Hmong community where parents are afraid of water. So, 就你就只應砌地啦，多多啲就打令的莫熱莫大莫地 容易的 and in Laos there were no deep lakes. So swimming was very few and far in between.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more drownings within our community and in the communities of color as a whole.
Right.
So I've been trying to look for partners and understanding how we could better provide water safety, not only for children, but to build a relationship. I think we need to offer access for parents and their children. So partnering up to build a relationship with the child and parent and to learn about water safety. We're outside fishing and hunting so much in and around water that we need to be able to provide safety. And like emergencies, we need to be able to be taipei to keng. Yeah. And so making sure that we prevent any issues later on down the road. This is a good way to do that. And working with the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, I talked to Chainu Lee. He's one of the inspectors for Ramsey County. And working with like the local Y and maybe other partners in the future. I did a giveaway where I am willing to pay for an opportunity for swimming classes for a father and child, or a parent and child, to go and get good quality swimming lessons. And so maybe we could hopefully move that wheel a little more and provide resources for these families. And you do that
on Wild Eats?
The first one that I did, that I've seen in our community to provide outdoor education and swimming lessons, it was the last giveaway that I did on my channel was to provide parent and child swimming lessons.
That's awesome.
That's so freaking incredible. That's why I like this guy so much. You're so well versed in all aspects of outdoors. Like Wild Eats isn't just deer hunting. You know, you do waterfowl, and then there's a big emphasis on food, but then also like just outdoor.
Outdoor safety.
Activity.
Safety.
Like that's freaking
all
incredible. Just because like I always said, like outdoors is big for us, especially in the Hmong community. So it just makes so much sense. That you're doing all this and that you tie all this stuff in together. Like, so that's pretty incredible. Like, so I look up to you in that aspect a lot. Like, that's pretty freaking awesome, man.
Well, you know, another thing too is that Patrick Henry High School, North Minneapolis, the first school that I went to moving here, right into the hood. It was like pretty hood there, I'll be honest. We didn't have a swimming pool at that school. So I think our swimming team consisted of like 3 or 4 different high schools. Where around the different areas of Minnesota, there's gotta be a swimming pool for every high school. And that's already a disparity. You know, we're coming out of high school, not having this lifelong skill, while other communities have it. And so there are a lot of drownings. Especially in our community.
And I didn't realize that too. Like, cause I grew up, we were in a inner city Boy Scout program, but they taught us how to swim, and I didn't realize until I got much older, like how rare that was. Like just like knowing how to swim and how much like people didn't, how bad people were at swimming. And like I'm not great or anything, but then like it is like an issue.
It's got to be learned. Someone's got to teach you. Like you're not just gonna jump out there and Michael Phelps it out. Like, someone's got to show you how it all works.
And I like that you and then you just referenced Henry too. If you like, so I've always known you. Like you were always like hey, hanging out with my brothers and like my older brothers and sisters, and we chatted a little bit about this. But then like you know. First of all, I wanted to thank you for coming on to the pod too. Like, but you were always like, I've always like oddly look up to you a lot.
Oh really?
I think I told you this once. Like, I think one time playing tennis, like you've always had that deep voice, and then I was like, I remember being a little kid. I was like, man, this is the man right here.
Yeah, that's what they sound like.
I was like, this is what a man is supposed to sound like. And then like I also remember one time in high school, it was like a very important moment in my life where I was like, all right, I'm going to get ready to go to college. I don't know what I'm going to go and study. I know that I like physical activity and I like stuff like that. And so I was like in a Barnes & Noble, and I think you had came in there for whatever reason. I was in there like using the internet trying to like work on some school project or whatever. And then we were talking, and I was telling you like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to college, but I don't know what I'm going to study. And I had also told you, I'm like into fitness, into health and wellness, yada yada. and you were telling me, because at the time you were telling me that you went to school for kinesiology, correct?
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that was a thing. But then at that moment, like it turned something on in my head was like, wow, I'm gonna go to school for this. And I was like, and it was like a very important moment in my life where I was like, oh, I can actually go to school and like study this thing that I like. And it's like, you know, like, but it put things into perspective that was like, here's someone I know going into school for like something that I actually like, that I also want to go to. So like, I don't know if I don't think I've ever told you that, but like, I've always oddly like looked up to you, and so like I appreciated that so much.
Oh well,
Yeah.
thanks,
Like that
man.
was
means
like
a lot to me, too.
that was a life-changing moment for me
Yeah,
because
you did get a degree in that.
yeah,
right?
I did.
Right.
Yeah,
you did?
yeah, yep.
Congratulations.
I make fun of that degree.
See that small planet
Yeah.
seed you did.
So like you did that for me though. I make fun of that degree now because I make
You don't-
fun.
yeah,
I
you don't
say I
use it and
graduated
stuff.
in gym. But it's a fancy word for gym class. I paid $2,000 to dribble a ball in college to learn how to dribble a ball. But no, but so I thank you for that.
Oh, well, thanks, man.
Because
It means a lot to me.
that's huge. And then and they're coming out and doing the podcast.
Yeah, what's that time say on there?
We're at 1:15.
Okay, got it.
Tell us about Wild Eats. What is the goal for it?
Yeah, where do you see it headed, and what can I expect? Because I
Yeah.
watched your page. I was just on it today. What can I expect in the next year or two? And you don't have to put out all your projects. Maybe just a few.
Yeah, right now it's still just a hobby.
Yeah,
Whenever I can tend to it, then I will.
for sure.
But hopefully we could garner more followers to understand what the outdoors is truly,
Yeah.
and to provide access and resources to the community. We're always learning, like I've always stated. If you find any benefit in any inkling of what I might find as helpful for me, I want to present it to the greater community too.
Yeah.
And that's about it. There's nothing
Yeah.
snazzy about all of this.
Yeah.
It's really just to keep turning the wheels of people's minds, getting into the outdoors and staying healthy and getting recipes and eating food.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming to share knowledge. I think I'll probably end up jumping into your DMs at some point and be like, yo, can you tell me more about how I need to scout for the bedding area? But we'll keep that for maybe the DMs. But I truly appreciate you coming, swinging through, and just sharing a lot of knowledge. And I didn't know the whole aspect of providing education in swimming and all those things. Like I didn't know all those things, right? Because I only know what I see on Facebook.
Sure.
So to actually hear that out it's cool to hear that your projects are deeper than just. Even though I enjoy it, it's bigger, and so that's cool. And I mean, I don't know. We have an audience that's little, but maybe somebody's got a similar mission or something, and hopefully it builds a connection that can like make it happen. Because I'm all for safety. I mean, I was a firefighter. I've seen people drown. I've seen all that stuff. So anything that can prevent injury in humans in general, but especially our community. That's what's
thanks,
up.
man.
That's what's up.
Well, find me on Facebook. DM me if you have any questions.
Where do we find you?
Wild Eats, all caps, all one word.
Wild, WILDEATS. Wild Eats.
Correct. And then
Gotcha.
my YouTube channel is same thing, Wild Eats. And I haven't been putting a lot of content up in terms of videos, but maybe that'll change a little bit more as time frees up in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
But just a lot of work right now.
Yes.
At work, and then moving on with life.
But I respect that, man. You're doing great work, man. You're doing amazing stuff. So
Thanks, man. I hear the same thing, and I read the same thing with both of you. And if I can help out in any way, let me know
sure,
how
we'll
Yellow
find a
Sports
way.
can
Drive the NSX out to the wood, then we'll hike out to the tree.
Yeah.
And
Well, we'll
find a way to do it. Yeah, we'll strap the deer on top.
yeah, well,
We'll find a way.
Well, like we want to continue this relationship going forward. I say for our next episode, if we're gonna shoot another episode, we go come out to the property. We'll set up some archery range, and we just
That'd be fun too.
Maybe we'll just practice shooting.
Sure, I
and
could
then we
learn
can
some more things about archery
and
too.
then you can kind of school
I could
us
always
a
use that.
a little bit on that.
Yeah, I'm totally. I'm not a master or anything, but any way I can help.
Yeah. So let's do that. Let's do that. And like I said, hopefully we can continue this relationship. with you and Nope, you, Gorilla Pastures and Yellow, Wild Eats. Yeah, so thank you so much
That's
for
all I
coming
got,
on.
yeah.
man. I
Thanks,
really
guys,
appreciate it.
fellas.
Yeah,
What y'all?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you so much.
yeah. Oh, yeah.